Hey, well, let me start this off, Mark, because we've got probably some new people joining us for the first time. We'll kind of start with some basic intros, what we're going to talk about tonight. But guys, my name is Rob Chevez. I am one of the facilitators of our Grid Reston chapter. Been doing this for some time. You know, I love this tribe because we talk about real estate investing, we talk about wealth building, and we believe in connecting people, right? The power's in the network. And now we've got a new leader here that's helping us take over, Danielle, right? Danielle has been running our investor team within CAZA, which she's been doing a great job. And obviously my partner in crime here, Mark Beckett, who runs our construction investment arm, right? Drinking his old bust head for our holiday edition. Because guys, normally what we do is we have a big party, right? A big massive party. Everybody comes together. We celebrate with food and beer and wine. And we have this big ceremony, but because we're in this crazy environment right now, we can only do this virtually. And so I can't wait to get back. And by the way, guys, we're going to get back to this next year, right? This vaccine's going to come out. Everything is going to get corrected again. And so I'm going to be optimistic and say next year, we're going to have a big party and we're going to celebrate with everybody. Maybe a little social distancing because everybody will be nervous, but I'm looking forward to being able to see all of you again. And for those that don't know, the way we always start off great is at the beginning of the year, we talk about kind of like some basic concepts like wholesaling, and then we build on each month, each additional concept. And at the end of the year, we talk about being the bank because it's kind of the life cycle of a real estate investor's life. And then in December, we celebrate deals. We celebrate you guys. We talk about some cool deals that you guys have done. And then we highlight a deal of somebody in the group or multiple people in the group. And that way people learn. They learn through that experience. They learn and their vision for their life gets a little bit bigger. And what I'm super pumped about tonight is that we're actually going to be featuring our first multifamily deal of the year. And we're just going to get right into it, right? And talk about this because Jason's got to go and be with the kids or something like that. He's got to hop off early. So I want to introduce some good friends of mine. I've got Ryan Butler on here. I've got Jason Stubblefield, and I've got Bo Gabel. And we're going to talk about this deal that you guys have put together. And the reason why I wanted to highlight it was because a lot of the relationships originated here, right? Originated in this room, originated maybe me as a conduit, right? And that makes me feel good because that's the whole purpose of what we do, right? That's the purpose of what we do. And normally what we do is we kind of go through all these like basic, everybody kind of introduces themselves, right? And we'll do a little bit of that. But what I wanted to do was really feature you guys first and introduce you guys. And so Ryan, you're kind of like the newest addition here. Why don't you introduce yourself real fast to everybody? Who are you? How'd you get those awesome dreadlocks? Right.
I'm the random guy on the phone call with dreads, man. It's just always got to have one. All right. My name is Ryan Butler. I am a managing partner at Coalition Properties Group. We are a real estate sales team out of Washington, D.C. metro area, cover the DMV. And yeah, I've been in real estate sales for 4 years, but you know, I started early in the journey of real estate because of investing, and it's kind of come full circle in a lot of ways more recently. So,
well, what's impressive with you guys is that this team just started 4 years ago. I think you guys crossed 100 million in volume, right?
Yeah. Yep. We'll hit about probably 140 million this year, something like that.
Dude, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. Cool. Thank you, my friend.
Very cool. Bo, how about you?
Rob, Mark, I said thanks for having me on, but it truly does. It tickles me to be a part, to be coming back on a couple years after I seen you guys last. So I'm an active duty Army officer. I started attending this meetup back in December of 2017. Attended religiously for 2 years. And that's whenever I really transitioned from, at that point I had one single family home that was a short-term rental. And I was like, hey, I really like this whole real estate investing thing. And since then, we've currently have 74 units under assets under management, just under 4 million, with another 68 unit deal that we have under contract right now with Jason and Ryan. And my focus is almost exclusively now commercial multifamily, with some short-term rentals on the side because it's just low-hanging fruit right now. But there's some distinct memories. My trajectory was elevated tremendously just from being around both Mark, Rob, and meeting people like Jason, who was more than anyone my early mentor. That I don't feel like Jason really knew it, but I looked up to Jason like a kid looks up to G.I. Joe, So that's what I wanted to be like, and that's what I worked my ass off just to get to a point where I could partner with Jason on a deal. And so this is kind of like a fruition of a goal that I set a while ago. So would love to add value to this group any way I can.
Oh, thanks so much for sharing. Jason, look at you. You're really trying to hold back that big smile.
What's that?
He can't.
Unmute yourself.
Yeah. Bo always says nice things about me, way more than what he should, like make me blush or whatever. But really glad to partner with Bo on this. And for those that don't know, like I started in 2016 in multifamily. Rob and his group and Mark have always just been a great source to tap into. The network has been awesome. Rob knows from a multitude of things. I may call him up and just say, hey, what are your thoughts about this? He recently helped me sell my home, which ended up being a whole lot more of an issue than what I thought it was going to be. But it's good to know. It's good to have a network. It's good to know people like Rob and Mark and be able to just bounce ideas off of them. So I'm proud to be a part of the group, to have been there. But started in 2016 in multifamily and started on that trajectory. I met Bo, and we started talking multifamily, and we wanted to partner together because it's a partnership business. And then Rob introduced me to Ryan, who, like you heard his story, 140 million, in sales in over 4 years or so, right? So in under 5 years, they're already doing 140 million in real estate, which is awesome. And so when I met Ryan, I could tell like he had that go-getter mentality about him. And he's like, yeah, I want to get into multifamily. And then a few days later, he's like, take a look at this deal. And, we looked at it, analyzed, and I'm like, shit, this is a good deal, So we pursued it, put it under contract, and then of course was like, Ryan, let's come along for the ride. And Bo's down in Georgia. It was a couple years ago when he was going to be leaving to move down to Georgia. I exited a little bit later, but anyways, it was somebody who I always wanted to work with. So I told him about the deal. Said, hey man, you're down in Columbus. You want to come check this out? And there you have it. So we sort of formed this coalition with Ryan. I know he liked that. But yeah, we formed a group, and we're gonna go ahead and take it down.
Yeah, I love that, guys. And by the way, this just goes to show you like action, right? So one of the big pieces is opportunity comes to those that take action. Like Ryan called me. He's obviously been selling a lot of real estate. He probably came to the epiphany of, hey, every month you start at zero when you're a real estate agent, and you really need to be buying assets, right? You need to be buying assets so that over time you can be paying those assets off, and it pays you, a dividend, a passive income. And so literally he was like, hey, I want to do multifamily, who do you know? What can I do? Let's do a deal together. And I was like, you need to talk to Jason. And I literally just connected them. And the next thing I know, they're buying the 68 unit building in Augusta, Georgia, which, I love because it really shows just the power of relationships, right? Which is this business is all about these relationships that are formed in this room, right? So we're going to go over some of those numbers here in a little bit. But what I want to be able to do, because there's a few people on here, is just let everybody, because the power is in the relationships here, I want everybody that's on here just quickly, 20-second, hey, this is my name, this is who I am, right? This is what I do, and just do some quick intros, right? And Yukiko, let's start with you, and I'll kind of go through the list that I see here. So Yukiko, you're on mute, so introduce yourself. What do you do? Where do you invest?
My name is Yukiko, and I'm a developer in Washington, D.C. Mostly do the infill project like condo conversions and small apartment building. My focus is more like a rental income producing property right now. And then for commercial side, I think I'll probably look into the self-storage out of state.
Self-storage out of state. Yeah, I've had a lot of clients here recently talk to me about self-storage out of state because of Amazon and what's happening with Amazon. So maybe we talk a little bit about that tonight, right?
Okay.
Andy.
Hey guys, so been coming here to Grid for about a year now. Started off with 0 investment properties, now I'm up to 3. Told all my friends about it, started an investment club, and then my buddies are there. We got really excited. They started buying investment properties, and now I'm in the investment property management business as well. So that's new.
Cool, congratulations.
Thank you. So I have currently I only have 1 under management, and then a second one coming up in about 2 months, and hopefully a third one shortly afterward.
Cool. And when you're ready to sell that portfolio, because it's so much of a pain in the butt, let me know and we'll buy it from you. Fair enough? Okay, cool. Awesome. Lourdes, how about you?
Hi, I'm Lourdes Rubio, and I've been investing for about 7 years with my husband, and we're mostly wholesalers. We don't have properties yet that we hold, but we're looking forward to that. We're still kind of looking for opportunities, and we started in Northern Virginia, but now we're moving farther and farther out from Northern Virginia area to look for wholesale deals.
Awesome. How's your foot?
Oh my gosh, don't start me on that.
Okay.
It's very painful, but getting better. Thank you.
Okay, good. Edward Howell, I don't want you to crash, but if you want to say hi real fast, you can unmute yourself. And
hi, I'm Eddie. I bought my primary residence in Manassas Park in 2016. I bought my first investment property in Baltimore in 2018. Sold it to get a better deal right before COVID kicked in. And I have a duplex up in Philly, but I'm going through zoning right now, so fingers crossed it'll be a legal duplex sometime next week.
Awesome. I'll keep my fingers crossed for you.
Great Philly.
Great Philly. That's right.
West Philadelphia, so like Cobbs Creek.
Very cool.
Near, yeah, that's where, not DJ Jazzy Jeff, but the Fresh Prince from West Philadelphia. Yeah. Born and raised, I believe.
Correct.
Nice.
On the basketball court is where he spent most of his days.
I believe that is correct.
That's right. Teresa, what's up? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, now I'm unmuted. Takes me a minute. I'm old. Hi, I'm Teresa Kutu, and I'm one of the oldest people on this call. So I started in commercial real estate for the airlines, which is a niche most people have never heard of, in about 1982. And although my husband and I have been landlords, he had actually 5 properties while he was in college. We're at that tail end of our life where we have been selling them, and we're down to 2 now. But I agree with Rob and everybody else that something everybody should do as early and as often as possible to build wealth. Right now, I'm an active flipper in Northern Virginia, and I am in for everything except we don't do ground up construction and we don't do condos, but we do everything else residential. And we've been active lenders for the last 5 years for properties in DC, Maryland, and Virginia. I think we're gonna limit it to DC and Virginia going forward, but that's what we've been doing. And we started with you in Reston, and Mark and Lance in 2015.
But that's not when you started investing, but that's when you started.
Yeah, that's when we started with you. Yeah, so we have a long-term relationship, very long-term relationship with you.
Yeah.
Just proving it's worthwhile for a long time, not just for people who are new at it.
That's right. And Teresa and Yukiko are former Grid Monster winners, right? So very cool. That's right. Chip, fire away,
Hey.
bro. Hey, man.
What's happening?
What's happening, man?
I will say that I'm as old as Teresa. Maybe older. I don't know. So I'm in the lending business, the private lending business. Specifically, I work with individual privates and family offices. I have about 20 different individuals I work with that have up to about 200 million under management. So, each one may have between 10 and $25 million to invest at any given time. And we are hyper local. Almost everything is DC metro area. And I have been involved in the real estate investment space really since the early 90s. So anyway, if that dates me, then it dates me. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? That's cool, man. Welcome, welcome. Jad, I see you don't have your video on here. That's okay.
All right, I'll turn it on. Yeah, how are you?
Good, man.
Yeah, man. I think this is like my fourth year in a row that I've attended this, so I'm really excited.
I'm sorry we can't serve you up food and drink.
Yeah, last year we had Peruvian chicken, and I was excited. Puerto Rico, and we were allowed to have seconds.
That's right.
So anyways, this year I've just been, I used to just do buy and holds, but since I'm a lawyer and the courthouse was closed for 3 months, I've started scaling up my flipping business, and I'm currently doing 10 flips simultaneously.
Whoa.
So, yeah, so that's going really well. Hopefully, I don't know yet. I haven't sold the 10 yet, but hopefully soon. So I'll let everyone know how it goes. So.
Awesome, man. Good stuff. Good to have you on here. Amit, do you want to jump on real fast? And you go ahead. And you don't have to if you don't want to, But fire away if you want to. There we are.
Hi, my name's Amit. I've been to a couple of the grid meetings here and there. I'm trying to get back all the way in. I have about 6 or 7 buy and holds. I've done a couple of flips in the past. Just trying to get myself back in, but I mean, I guess that's a problem with everybody sometimes. So that's about it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. Janae, what's going on?
Hey, Rob. Yeah, sorry, I don't have the video going right now, but I will next time. Janae Noble from Athens, Georgia, just recently moved to Georgia from Southern California, cashed out my properties there. I have a son who's a broker up in Raleigh, and we started divesting in 2011 from California. And I got my real estate license just kind of by chance here in Athens because a lady who I bought a house from via FaceTime and Zillow, it turned out she worked for Keller Williams. She says, well, I said, you did such a great job. How can I help you? And she goes, well, why don't you get your license and come work for me? So that's how I found out about Rob and this investment group. I was with an investment group in Southern California. They have 4 chapters, one in Pasadena, one in Long Beach, one in San Diego, and one in Santa Monica. And so when I found Rob's event, Rob's group is so plug and play, I was interested in being a part of that. And I just applied to be one of the chapter leaders. So looks like that might happen for the Athens area. And I started buying in 1970 because we won on Family Feud. We won on the game show. And a retired Air Force guy who I used to work with because I was a dental hygienist in the Air Force, he suggested I buy property. And I did. So now I just want to help other people buy and build generational wealth. And I'm kind of like Teresa, kind of at the end of my curve here. So disposition of property is interesting to me, and just how to pass on the most to my family.
Yeah, and she's done a great job of building over the years. So we're excited to have her in Athens, Georgia. So very cool.
Thank you so much.
It'll be cool. Okay, well, let's do this. I know that we haven't reached everybody, but I also promised Jason that I would get him off early because he's got family time here. So what I want to hear, and we'll let other people jump in here towards the end. Network. Jason and Ryan, how did you guys invoke? How did this deal come about? Ryan, how did you find this deal? These 68 doors in Augusta, Georgia.
Actually, so I have a friend from church who we were and are still looking to buy a commercial multifamily together. And he was like, I can't do it right now, but he's sending me stuff. I'm sending him stuff, right? Like we're literally just kind of going down the path, like just brainstorming, throwing deals off each other and everything. And I was like, man, I like Georgia. He said, you like Georgia? Here's something. Take a look at that. He's like, I can't do it. So I'm like, all right, great. I looked at it. I was like, I like this. I don't know if I'm supposed to like it, but I like it. And that was kind of at the same time where I called up everybody in my network and saying, hey, who do I need to know that's in the multifamily real estate space? And Rob was like, hey, man, you got to meet this Jason guy. He's doing his thing. So I got on a Zoom call with Jason and we vibed like right away. Right. And hey, now Janae, now don't post that. And now you got me distracted. Multifamily Athens, 4.8 million. Listen, now I'm distracted from the story.
Sorry, I was multitasking. I thought that was the point.
No,
make some deal.
Right? Like don't worry, we need to talk about this, please. Yes. You got 3 people who are buying stuff on the in Georgia right now, so you got to talk about that. So yeah, Jason and I got on a call. We vibed. I was like, man, I want to work with this guy some kind of way, you know. And so then you just start thinking about how you can bring value, right? Like I'm transitioning. I bought residential properties and kind of the smaller, like 4 and under type deals, done flips, all kinds of things, right? But never really did commercial real estate. So it's a new venture for me. And, you know, I was like, all right, what can I bring value in? I can source deals. I can build my skills up that way. And it just happened to find something that we all liked. So
Right. I have a question. So from the time that you thought, oh, I want to buy something that's multifamily, to when you guys put it under, like, have you been thinking about multifamily for some time? Or did it just start?
I've been thinking about it for some time, but like I'm a very poor multitasker, Janae, as you can tell. So I have to do one thing at a time. And for the last 2 years since I joined in Coalition 2019, 2020, that's the only thing I thought about. It's like how to build this business to a sustainable level. And now, you know, I can take just a little sliver of my mind off of Coalition to look at some other things. But my wealth building strategy is built around equity building in businesses and cash flowing assets and multifamily. Like that's 2 of my 3 legs. That's literally it. I'm a very simple guy. I don't have a lot of, so I'm just doing my thing there. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's a couple of things that what I want to do is I want to highlight what I heard for those that, if you missed it, some important key points, right? So one, what he did was when he made the commitment, he reached out to everybody in his network and he just said, who do I need to know in this space? And he wasn't afraid to pick up the phone and just call, right? That's an important thing. You say, this is what I want to do. Who should I talk to? And he put it out to the universe, right? This kind of happens. And then, you know, he called me, and because I believe in connecting people, relationships, I've been like, who would get along with who? Who's a good person that I can connect? I was like, okay, you got to talk to Jason, right? Because he's doing stuff in an area, multifamily, and I think you guys should talk. So you guys connected, right? And you got on quickly. I mean, it was fast. You got on, you talked to him, you guys figured this out. You started looking and analyzing deals. So I'm sure Jason told you what a good deal was, what his buy box was, right? And you guys pulled the trigger on and put it under contract. So there was action. You guys took action there. Another valuable thing that I think a lot of investors make the mistake of, and I see all the time, is that they get distracted by all that's possible. The world of real estate investing and business building is really, really big, right? But the problem is you can't do it all. You possibly can't do it all. So he said, like, I can only focus on one thing at a time. And by the way, if you build a $140 million agent business, like, that's all consuming focus. Like, that's what you do. And you only do it in 2 years, 4 years. Like, that's all you can do. And then he gave himself permission to open up his brain just a little bit to buy a long-term investment, because he was at a point where I'm like, okay, I've got this business. It's going. I can open up some space in order to go look here. Most people that I talk to are trying to do 10 things at one time. And guess what happens? They don't do anything. They don't ever move the needle. They can never do it. So that's why focus is so important. So thanks for sharing that, Ryan. I appreciate it. How long did it take you guys to analyze the deal? I'm curious.
I mean, I'm probably the slowest out of all of them, but it usually takes me about an hour to do like preliminary things. Yeah. So put it in a spreadsheet, but you know, you got to copy paste all these random numbers from these documents and move them over to a spreadsheet and stuff.
Yeah, but it just felt like it moved really fast, right? I felt like I talked to you on a Friday, and the next thing I know, you guys are in Georgia on Saturday, taking a picture and saying you've just done, you know, an inspection of 68 units.
Yeah. Yeah.
How long was it? 2 weeks? A week?
Oh, you mean, yeah, from the underwriting of the deal to offer of the deal? Yeah, I mean, that was just a couple weeks, man. Right, Jason?
Yeah, it may have been
2 weeks.
2 3 weeks. It's like a blur, but yeah, we're going back and forth with it for a while.
Okay. Well, that's because opportunity moves like it's like this, right?
Just to submit the LOI, right? Like that was pretty fast. That was pretty fast turnaround.
Yeah. Jason, why'd you like this deal? Explain to everybody. I know you can't go because of, you know, guys are going to be doing stuff, but why'd you like the deal?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it because the numbers work, right? And I liked the market. It was close to me. I look at a ton of deals. I couldn't even tell you. I mean, I could, but I'd have to go dig up to see just how many deals we've gone through, tossed out, submitted LOIs on and got rejected, went in best and final and got rejected. And that's just sort of the process. So when Ryan was like, I got this deal, I'm like, all right, another one of these, right? So I just put it in the system, put it in the system, like, you know, have the assistants help me out with it, look at it, and
do you have virtual assistants?
What's that?
You have virtual assistants help you out with that?
Yes. Yeah.
Got it. So that's something you guys might want to pick up on. He's got virtual assistants helping doing this analysis. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because a thorough analysis could take 2-3 hours to really get everything. I just don't have that type of bandwidth. So they do a lot of preliminary stuff, and then I'll look at the deal afterwards. But once I started looking at this, it was like, okay, this deal does work. It can work. But I like it. I like the market that it's in. I like the median income of the area that it's in. I like the fact that it's sort of situated to itself and it's really like its own private community. And when you look at a lot of deals, you can tell a well-run property, right, from the ones that aren't. And this just seems like, okay, this seems like it's operating like something that I like to own with a lot of upside in the future, right? So yeah, for those reasons, I was like, okay, let's go ahead and submit an LOI on this and see what we can do.
Awesome.
And Rob, I'll tell you, Jason, man, he like, you can tell he does this a lot because he saw a lot of things before we even got there that made the property great, that when you go there, you're like, and not just like the property itself, but like when we went, we walked these 68 units and that takes all day for real. And then, and that's even splitting up, right? But we went to some other properties and we looked around and we're like this was we felt better and better about it because we saw some other properties we walked through. We're like, man, I'm glad it's not this property, right? Like that was kind of like the feeling there. So yeah.
You like the location. It gave you the right feel, the right vibe, right? Sometimes your intuition just speaks to you and you have to go with your intuition. I've learned to start listening more and more to my intuition. You know, we just bought a little river house in the Shenandoah, on the Shenandoah River. And literally I bought it. My wife, you know, I didn't really consult with my wife when I bought it. I heard about it afterwards, right? Because she was gone. She was helping her mom. And I heard, anyhow, we worked through it. It all worked out. We worked through it. But my intuition was like, this is a great deal. It's a great property. It's a great location. And now that we've been in it for the last 2 or 3 months, we realized, wow, it is a great deal. We got a great deal. And I got it prior to it hitting the market, right? Just sometimes your intuition kicks in because I've been kind of looking, right? Well, guys, I appreciate you sharing that, right? I think that is inspiring. And what I wanted to do is kind of open it up a little bit, Jason, because I know you have to go here in a little bit, but I wanted to open it up. You know, there's a lot of really good investors on this call right now. And I want to give you guys a spotlight. If there's a deal that you've done this year, Jad or Chip or, you know, Teresa, that you guys are like, hey, I think the group needs to hear about this and they could learn something and it's valuable. We'd love to hear from you, right? I'd love to hear from you guys because that's how I learned too, right? And then we could talk a little bit about the market, about crystal balling what I see in 2021. You know, we could free flow with that a little bit, but is there anything that anybody's done that they feel good about, or did everybody just hide under a rock during this whole COVID period? Right.
I'm mad at every deal I didn't do. We looked at a few that we didn't do, right? And like, oh my God, that guy made so much money. Should have done it. This year has been incredibly strong around here, right? In the DC DMV. It's been hard to screw up almost, which is scary a little, but really good if you were doing deals. Really good year.
Somebody was gonna say something. Was it Teresa?
I was gonna say something.
Oh, Lourdes.
Go for it.
Lourdes. Some of you know that I've been grounded several months now because of a surgery, but I've been active. And actually, I'm glad that I'm grounded because it has kept me very focused on the things I can do. So with the small business pandemic and the whole 9 yards, there's a neighbor here who has a caterer business, and his business is to provide the lunches for Fairfax schools and Arlington schools, but schools are closed. So he was in a very difficult situation, thinking about how he was maybe able to pull through and everything with 5 children. It's a small business, even though the schools it's a pretty large system. So they came up with this idea of catering. catering for parties and catering for like Thanksgiving, just right now, bringing the big boards of cheeses and meats and fruits and things like that. So I said, I'll help you to distribute with my parents in the school system. So we went out and we distributed, and I said, the only thing I ask is that you help me when I need you, because I am helping you now, and just help each other. Right away, he gave me about 10 referrals.
Wow.
Right now, I'm just screening, going through everything. And now we're buddies, we're helping each other. We're getting ready to do the Christmas round. So if anybody wants cheeses and breads and things like that, let me know, because I'm just helping. So for me, what I'm proud of is that I got out of the mindset of making the money and went into helping, not just this guy, or helping all of the people that this guy touches, which is tons of people, tons of people. So I just wanted to share that.
Awesome.
So we'll let you know what happens with the referrals.
Very cool.
You're working on that.
Yeah, you know, there's a power in I call it social currency. You know, there's a power. If you read the book, The Go-Giver, The Law of Reciprocity,
yeah,
it just comes back, right? So if you could always lead. In fact, I had a conversation with a team member today. Said, wouldn't it be fun if you just spent the next 30 days and all we did was just give to somebody every single day, like that? Then it just the gratitude feels so much better. It's not about like us doing business at this point. It's like, who can I just help today? Who can I help and how can I help them, right? And you make that your focus, and then the law of reciprocity just kind of kicks in, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's awesome. Good for you.
I'll let you know in the follow-up.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Jad, any deals that you want to share?
I just signed up a deal out in Culpeper, which I don't usually go out that far, but it's a really good deal. I have potential to make $200,000 on it. It's 2 houses that were being sold for $229. I picked it up for $190. The lot's already set. There's already 2 houses. I just have to put a well on 1 house. So I'm buying each house for $85,000, putting $30,000 into them, and I'm going to sell each one for $230. So I'm making $460 on a $260 investment. So that's one. And then I've been focusing.
Chad, I have a question. You always seem to do a lot of the outskirt markets, right?
Yeah, I was going to get to that. So I just did 2 flips in Fauquier County. I made $115,000 on each, and I have 2 more coming up, one on the 18th and one on the 15th. So Corona, God bless Corona. I mean, everyone that has condos moved out to the country. They don't want to be around their neighbors. They don't want to breathe the same air as the condos that they're in. They just don't want it. And so I've had like cash buyers. I sold a house that I bought for $225 for $549. I sold a house with 10 acres on it, 1,300 square feet. I bought it for $365, sold it for $620.
Wow.
So yeah.
Jad, actually, that's a perfect segue because I want to talk about the trends we're seeing, right, for 2020 and what we might see for 2021. But I was one of those people that said, oh, I want to buy something in the country. And I went and bought something an hour away from where I live. And then I noticed when I did it and I posted about it, I had 4 people contact me. And then we helped 3 of those 4 buy something out in the country to do like an Airbnb. So there's been this trend, right, just kind of like these outskirt markets. So you kind of position yourself really well there. And by the way, condos in Reston, that's the one asset class, and in McLean, that you see those inventory levels rise. I just keep seeing prices dropping for condos in McLean, in Reston. What other trends are you guys seeing here in this market that we might all benefit from knowing, right?
Yeah,
I think
Go ahead.
So I can back up what you just said. I've had the best and the worst year ever in 2020. The beginning, I had a single family home, and it was the best project I've ever done. Everything about it. Loved the owner, loved her kids. Everybody was happy. I felt like I was doing a great thing. Improved the neighborhood. The kids and the neighbors still email me and text me. It was that great. Second half of the year, I've been trying to bail out one of my borrowers who was doing a condo conversion downtown that went bad in every single way a condo conversion can go bad. And the only way I thought they could even get it to market is if I basically took it over for them. But now it's on the market. And the problem is, it's the type of thing that used to fly off the market, where you took a single family home and made a couple condos out of it. So everything is going on the market about almost 2 months now. Everything around it that didn't get converted, that is 1,900 to say 2,200 square feet, flying off the market. And these condos, even though they are good size and in the same neighborhood and done better than the rest of them, because it says condo, number one, and number two, people aren't even looking at them. And I've been watching the market intensely in DC, and it really doesn't matter what the property looks like or where it is. Anything called a condo is really hurting right now in DC.
Wow. Ryan, are you seeing that as well?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Rob.
Like
Rob,
condos are not the if you had to tell me what kind of house, ask me what kind of house I want to sell, it's not going to be a condo. I can tell you that.
Oh shoot, we've got 5 condo conversions coming up to sell.
I'm doing 2 houses right now in DC, one in Northeast and one in Southeast. And yeah, no condo conversions for me, just full rehab and putting it back on the market. Anything with condo is just associated with Corona right now, in my opinion. That's just the way I see it from the buyers. One more thing for anyone trying to buy out in the country, just make sure the house that you're buying has cell phone service and has internet. Because no matter how nice your house is, no one is buying it if they can't get cell phone service. So I had to learn that the hard way. I had to pay $2,000 to put a satellite or an antenna on top of a home so that the buyers would have cell phone service. So make sure houses have internet so they can do Zoom calls and cell phone.
Wow,
Pro tip
valuable.
on here. And I did Rob, I'm also doing a house right now in Riverdale. I bought it for $420, hopefully selling it for $675. Anyone doing something in Riverdale, there's a town inspector who's his official title is neighborhood like neighborhood beautifier or something. And he was there within like hours of us buying the home with a stop work order. You need a dumpster permit. You need, I mean, it's like, no one cares. It's like, he's like, no. He's like, the previous person you bought it from was renting it out to a murderer. He goes, we're going to make sure this house is in tip top shape. So
okay.
Riverdale, be careful.
Dad, who sells all your houses, man? Sounds like I need to get on the Jad train, help you sell those houses.
We can talk about it offline, Rob.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Anything?
For me, it was kind of showing up here at the beginning of Corona. Like I said, I'm Johnny New Guy. I'm kind of in that same boat of initially my plan was just to buy primary residence with like an FHA loan, live in it for a couple of years. We get pretty good appreciation in the market, get a little bit of pay down, rent it out, go get another one. And I'm kind of in that same boat of, well, maybe I should go get something out in the country. I thought that the sprawl was over and they were just going to start filling in patches of green, but it's still sprawling out. And just the people that I work with and buddies, we all kind of are on the same mind. We're kind of waiting to see what happens with HQ2 too, because we think it's going to open everything a little bit more. It's you can go further down 66. It's not necessarily, it used to be 8 miles down a treacherous country road, but now it's kind of, like I said, it's sprawling out more. So when I saw the meetup pop up and discussing the state of the market, I was like, well, I'll show up and listen and learn. I'm Eddie, and thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. Eddie, we appreciate you being here. Yeah, Amazon headquarters. That's going to open things up, I hope, right? We'll see what happens. Anybody have any opinions about that? Anybody do? So I have a client of mine that he's really big in the self-storage right now because he said something and it struck me. He said, okay, what's going to happen with all these malls? Right. What's going to happen with all these malls? He's like, what's going to happen is that Amazon is probably going to use a lot of these malls as storage. So that I thought that was pretty interesting. Some of these dying malls will be places of distribution. They've already have the capacity for trucks to come in, go out. There'll be a place to have a storefront that's there. So that'll be an interesting trend to see whether or not that carries out. But he's interested in buying storage in this area because of what's happening with a lot of just all the drop shipping that's happening. Right. Anybody else thinking that way?
I saw a project with this chip. It was a couple years ago. It was down in Norfolk, and they actually took an aging mall, and they took the big anchor stores. I think it was a J.C. Penney, and it became a call center. And the reason why it was so advantageous was it was close to public transportation. They needed 24-hour because they were doing stuff all over the world, and the connectivity was fantastic. So what they were doing, the guys that were buying it, they had 5 different anchors. They were going to take each anchor store and go to a different call center vendor and use that as the anchors. And they basically said, think of a 10-story office building, but on its side. Okay. So you've got the call centers in the anchors, and then in the mall space, they said, well, there's going to be, you have these employees are going to be there 24/7, and they still need services. So they need a place to eat, different kind of restaurant. They need dry cleaning. They need different services in and around it. And anyway, it's a whole different concept onto how do you reuse space, because they were acquiring the center for pennies on the dollar of what it would cost to rebuild that same center, and there it sits. So I think repurposing these commercial assets is probably the next big wave. Out where I am, I'm out in Loudon. I was out at a building, and this is, it's a B+ building. It's 6 stories, 60,000 square feet, probably built early 90s. Of the 60,000 square feet, 3,500 is occupied. Mm-hmm. And, it is for sale for $6.5 million. And if you had to build that today, it's easily going to cost you $200 a foot. So it's going to cost you $12 million if you're going to build it today. And you can acquire it for basically half of that. But if you acquired it, what would you do with it? Because you're not going to get office tenants to come in there. Mm-hmm. So you have to repurpose it. And, look, self-storage is a play, but there's got to be a way to reuse all of this excess space that's not going to go back to what it was used for before.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And you're also in data center city in Loudoun County. So, I mean, just like a server farm or something like that, a lot of Amazon's business, I think it's AWS. I think AWS actually, Amazon Web Services, surpassed them just selling stuff. And their main client is the federal government. So,
right.
Anybody else see a trend out there that they've been playing within? I mean, Airbnb is about to go public. That's interesting.
Rob, you and I, we've talked a lot about Airbnb, short-term rentals, and we talked about that at the very beginning of this year in January before Corona. And now even with everything that's gone on with Corona, I actually feel more confident in my thought that Airbnb and short-term rentals, and that is a play, as a long-term buy and hold business strategy, if you will. I feel more confident about that than I ever have, because the way people are getting out of their homes right now is mostly to go to private vacation area or private homes, private condos, where you don't have to be around everyone. Like, you don't want to be in a hotel kind of situation. So I think those kind of properties, just like you just bought in the Shenandoah, I think those kinds are going to continue to be really popular. And then on the kind of counter side to what Chip was saying about like the really massive commercial spaces, I think the very small commercial spaces in certain niche markets, like Old Town Alexandria, for instance. I live near Old Town, so it's kind of a passion for me. There's a lot of commercially zoned buildings that are more historic row houses that I think may be rezoned into some kind of residential condo conversion, or also the city of Alexandria has very favorable short-term rental laws, especially compared to Fairfax County. So I think we're going to see a lot of creativity on converting commercial units of different types and repurposing those both at like the very large scale, like Chip was talking about, all the way down to like row homes that maybe could be 2 Airbnbs on King Street in Old Town. I'm really excited to see what comes of that in 2021.
Rob, I just listed a condo for an investor. He's a good friend of mine. He's a partners with me at some deals. And it's an Alexandria house condo, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. We listed it, or I listed it for $675. We had an all cash offer of $660,000 on the first day. So just to her point, I guess like if in condos, they were an older couple, they wanted to be around their grandkids, they liked the views of Alexandria House and they like the location. So maybe condos are still lucrative if in the right market. I mean, $660,000 all cash on a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo. I think the investor only put in like $40,000 on the rehab. It wasn't, I mean, it wasn't even great. I don't even think the compressor worked properly. But they got it. So, I mean, I guess it just all depends on your location with the condos. There's still hope if you're doing it in Old Town.
Yeah.
I think in general, you're going to see a conversion of asset types. You're seeing it from people looking at those office buildings who are like, man, who's gonna stay in these, right? Converting those to, I have a close friend who's from Louisiana, and oh, sorry, that's the wrong friend. I have another buddy that's here, and he has a friend that's in Louisiana who is taking hotels and converting them to residential apartments, right?
Right.
And even in DC, there's some big players trying to convert some office buildings to residential, like really, really big expensive office buildings to residential. So I think the conversion thing is still very much on the table. And Rob, like you, man, I just picked up a little, I won't call it a beach house, but it's about 3 blocks from the beach. So I guess close to the beach house in Virginia, just because I'm trying to get away, man.
Where did you get it?
I got it in Norfolk.
Who'd you talk to for that? Did I tell you to talk to the Corey, Sean and Corey?
You know, I never contacted them on that, but I actually have I coach realtors too. So one of my clients has 7 Airbnbs down there. And after I saw his, all of his profit and loss statements, it made a lot of sense, man. So, you can pick up something low 200s down there, 2 or 3 blocks from the beach in Norfolk, and 3 blocks, 3 blocks, or up to maybe 10 minutes away, you got prices that are 600,000, right? So like the development is moving towards there. So yeah.
And then Rob, if you want to talk just a little bit about the market, there's townhouses in Old Town Alexandria that are going for like $800,000, and they're literally tiny, like 2-bedroom, 1-bath. I mean, I'm shocked at the prices in Old Town. Have you seen that post-corona, how much the prices have gone up in Old Town, Rob?
I haven't, but I know that Danielle tracks that. That's her hood.
Crazy. For all the investors on this call, go look up trying to buy a 1,300 square foot townhouse that's been renovated. I mean, investors out there that are rehabbing there are killing it. killing it. And I don't even understand, like, there's townhouses that are on Washington Street, like literally on Route 1, where there's like 50,000 vehicles that pass in front of these townhouses with maybe one parking space. Like, what is the appeal of Old Town right on Washington Street? But I mean,
it's got a lot of charm, man. My wife and I, when we wanted to do a staycation, we would just go down to Old Town and get like a hotel room down there on Washington Street. I like Old Town.
Do you think it's just a lack of inventory that's sustaining prices, or I think it's also in this market it's a little bit different just because and we all feed off of the federal government here. So when it's leaner elsewhere, it's not necessarily as lean here. Like if you go up to Philly, it's similar, but it's different. Same thing with like Baltimore. It's similar, but it's different just because in those other markets, you're starting to see other money creep in. If the dealers are slimmer down here, you're kind of starting to see people go up there. So any like 1 to 4 units in Philadelphia is still huge and it's very competitive.
Yeah, we just launched Grid Philly, and it's a very active. I mean, the guy that runs it there, he's telling me it's a very active market. But you also see areas in Philly where investors are kind of overpriced and haven't done a great job, and he goes in and he takes a lot of those properties, those sellers, and helps them get them sold. He sells like over 100 units a year himself, in the Philly market. He just kills it. So we got a connection there if anybody wants to go into Philly. I like staying in my backyard here, at least not too far away. Any other trends? I think that's it. I saw Ryan post any developers on here. Anybody doing like pure development work? I don't see anybody on here that I know that's doing any pure development work.
I mean, we work with a couple of builders. Danielle, how's the traction on our new construction properties that we're listing?
So Ryan, Mark worked for Comstock for many years in doing land entitlement. So if you've got questions, like Mark can always answer that stuff. It's not the business he's in now, right? But he can certainly, at a minimum, point you in the right direction with any questions you have. Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Mark, I'd love to talk to you. I'm talking to a seller right now, and it's a property in Alexandria, so it's an interesting location for sure. And it's a good sized piece of land. So
I may have a buyer. Let's chat.
Yeah.
No, I know people who are looking. Yeah.
Send me your phone number, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, put it in the chat. Yeah, and by the way, guys, if you want to put your info in the chat, because part of this is for you to be able to build your database. So if there's somebody on here, that you want to meet, that's what this is all about. Put your name, put your phone number in there, and you build your database, right? Anybody on here that has been quiet and didn't get to introduce themselves, like a Jen or a Lloyd or Jesse, like feel free to chime in. Krishna, Ashley, put your info in there and or feel free to chime in and introduce yourselves. But you don't have to. I just want to make sure that I'm giving you guys a voice if you want to say anything. So, okay, Yukiko put her info in the chat. Yep, Mark, put your stuff in there.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
This is Jennifer Tang. I've been a lender for a long time. Now mostly I lend to flip in PG County because.
Awesome. So we got a PG County lender in Gen T. Very cool.
I live in Fairfax, but most of the outstanding loans are in PG County now because the price point and it's far enough and just very attractive now, low risk as well. Because between 200 to 300, you can get the property, then you force value in it, then you sell it and walk away with profits. That's all.
Cool. Yeah, so PG County still moving, everything moving. Okay, predictions for 2021, and then we'll end this real fast. What do you guys think? Teresa, predictions for 2021. What's your crystal ball say?
Tell me when the vaccine will be distributed to everyone, and then I'll make some predictions.
Everyone who wants a vaccine will be vaccinated by April 30th.
Mark's got the inside track.
Yeah.
He tracks his stuff.
Yeah.
He's a COVID nerd.
So, but is it gonna be required that everybody take it, get it? Or is there flexibility to say, I don't want it?
No, the government's mandating that everybody has to take it. They're gonna put in a little tracking system into you.
I was waiting for that one. I really wanted to.
It's not the government, it's Bill Gates who's doing that. Didn't you read? Don't you read your?
Yeah.
Internet?
Soros. It's George Soros. He's going to make everybody get their vaccination. I think we will have a tremendous snapback in economic activity with all of the people who thankfully were not economically harmed. And there are a lot of people who have been hurt. And I think there will be a lot more, and there will be a lot of areas that get hurt. I'm really worried about a lot of my favorite restaurants, right? A lot of local small businesses are not going to do well. But once we get through that, the ones that are still around are going to snap back so hard. How anxious and desperate is everyone to go somewhere and do something, anything, anywhere, right? I think we need to be prepared for an influx of people coming here because this is a big vacation city. People come to DC for tourist activities, so Airbnb stuff is going to be huge. The restaurants that are left are going to do well. Once we get to the other side, late spring, early summer of next year, it could be a weird, maybe not great winter. But man, I think once the Band-Aid gets put on, ripped off, I don't know, whatever you consider a vaccination to be, it's going to be a big, I think, late spring, summer for activity around here.
So Mark's, who's typically Chicken Little, he's optimistic. So that's good.
I try to just think of, like, as soon as I can, I'm going to get the hell out of here and go somewhere.
Well, what's the stock market say right now? Crazy, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Cannabis is winning.
Cannabis is winning. So is Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right? Crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've got another client of mine that wants to buy a cannabis farm and find places, right? So I get all these calls.
You can grow tobacco in Virginia. Why shouldn't you be able to grow cannabis?
You can grow hemp. You can't grow cannabis yet, but I think hemp, that's another reason why I might want to go out to the country, maybe get a hemp license, because generally speaking, the people that are, like, if you have a medical license, you get your recreational license first, or when they open it up, you're kind of in the system and fast tracked. And I think it's coming sooner than later. And you might, I don't know, you might be able to repurpose some of that commercial space too, but.
I'm going to say bye, Bo. Take care, Bo.
Bye, Bo. Thanks.
Bo, good to see you, buddy. Happy holidays, my friend.
Happy holidays.
As well.
Thank
you. I think next year is going to be, I think it's going to be more of the same, meaning for us in real estate, it's been a good year. As long as you've been playing within the spaces, the right spaces. And it's still an inventory short market. We are going to see some foreclosure inventory hit. It's not going to be crazy, but we will see some of it.
Thanks, Ryan.
Right. Take care, Ryan. Thanks, man. We are going to see some of it hit in certain pockets. It will put a little bit more supply into the market, which we need, except for condos, right? In certain markets, we don't need more of that, but we do need it in some of the single family houses and townhome markets. There's just nothing available for a lot of our buyers. Interest rates will continue to stay low, and I think demand is going to continue to be high, right? And people are going to want to go into a physical asset. I mean, Wall Street's making a lot of money right now. What are they going to do with that money, right? So they're going to take some of that money off the table and they're going to buy physical assets. That's what I think. So I'm optimistic about the beginning of next year, but I'm always being vigilant. So we'll see. I'm optimistic. I've been calling a bottom for 5 years now. It's been a seller's market for so long, but I just don't see. I see inventory levels continue to just get eaten up, like quickly, right? For a lot of what we're listing. And the stuff that's sitting, it's weird product, right? Like I do have a townhouse in Reston that's newer construction in the $900,000 range. And it's competing against new construction now. And it's essentially new construction, but the market doesn't consider it new construction. And that's just sitting, right? That's just sitting. I mean, it's weird, like no showings.
Is that your one off of Sunrise Valley?
Yes.
So yeah. I saw that. I saw our sign out there. So that is not new. Obviously not. We're not the builder there, but there is construction right next door. So our client is one of the early buyers that is now selling. That's
right. Well, they're two separate builders, right?
Yeah.
Full House on one side, Seekus on the other. So
yeah.
Beautiful house, gorgeous, all the upgrades. It's just the activity's low, right? I mean, we've gotten some, a lot of inquiries, but nobody's pulled the trigger yet, right? And so it's a little baffling, to be honest with you. But it's also competing against you could buy a lot of house in Reston for $900,000, right?
Yeah.
That's not 4 levels. And so the product is, you got to figure out what's the most common product that's turning right now. And single family houses and townhouses are turning really fast except for that one, for whatever reason. So.
Which brings me back to my question earlier about new construction. Danielle, new construction, traffic is good?
So from what I'm seeing, at least, and I feel terrible even saying this in front of Teresa because it's probably so triggering for her with what's going on with her condo. The condo conversions that I'm working on in DC right now that we have in coming soon status and we're marketing with just renderings, like we don't have any photos, are actually getting pretty good traffic on them in terms of buyer leads. And for those who don't know me, I am an agent, an active one on the CAZA Group. So I work with buyers, sellers, but I specialize in working with investors. So the buyer leads that we're getting from these listings, I'd say on things that we don't have even a ton of marketing material for, we're getting upwards of 4 or 5 leads per week. And that can depend on which properties. So we have a couple in DC in really great neighborhoods like Columbia Heights. We have another one, a 3-unit conversion that we're going to be listing in a couple of weeks in just south of Friendship Heights, like Van Ness area. So a really hot neighborhood there. And they'll all be 2 bedrooms in that $550 to maybe $600 price point, to give an idea for those, for the Van Ness properties. The ones in Columbia Heights are more toward the $950, but they're duplexes. So they're about 1,800, 1,900 square feet. And there's only 2 of them in that property. So I'm not sure if it's the larger scale condos that are maybe keeping the traffic coming. It could be the price point. It could be the location. All I know is for right now on those DC projects, I've been getting some pretty good leads, and we've had those listings since April, to kind of also create context there. I have a new construction listing right in the heart of Arlington in Yorktown High School district, which is super hot, in the 1.7 million range. And we've had 3 open houses that have all had pretty good traffic so far. That 3 to 7 parties that are kind of interested, usually have a home to sell kind of clientele. And that's been going pretty well. So, and online interest, we are getting a lot of views and a lot of clicks every week. So we've been using that for retargeting ads. So, but it's hard to tell because while we are getting lots of views, clicks, interest, they have not gotten contracts yet. So that is, I guess, the ultimate determinant of, is it priced right? Is it in the right location, right time of year? So that's something to think about, consider.
But those homes are not even 50% done.
No, not even close. One of them, the one on 10th Street, like they just finished the pilings. Like where they just poured the footers. Like there's not, that one's not even close. And the one in Arlington that I was just mentioning, that one has sheetrock and they're getting, you know, they just turned on HVAC today. So there's no cabinets, there's no floors. They're like, you're walking into a really, really blank slate. And while we have lots of renderings, dream boards, and we're painting a really nice picture with marketing, it's still, I think the buyers that are out there, they want to buy something and they want to buy it now. And if they cannot walk in and see the finished product, I think that is causing hesitation, which is something I was hoping would not be the case.
Yeah.
But I have 2 kind of case studies showing that right now.
Yep. Teresa, and yours are all done, right?
Yeah, it actually very similar to what she just described in near the Columbia Heights area, the same thing. Honestly, I think what happens is when people are searching, I think they're looking for more space. They're trying to move out of the little condo into the bigger space. And so they're searching for single family. And therefore anything called a condo doesn't even come up in their search. Now, the thing is, if they saw it, they would realize it's exactly the same size, lives exactly the same way as the single family would, but they don't see it because of that marketing issue is I think what's happening.
Interesting.
Because in Zillow, you select either single family, townhome, condo, co-op, multifamily, or land, I think are like the options. So
Right.
if you even selected townhome, even though say our 10th Street listings, they looked, it is a townhome, and each unit is a duplex, it wouldn't even come up in their search.
Exactly the problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay, guys. Well, let's see. It's 8/14, December the 1st. My mama's birthday is tomorrow. I can't believe it's December the 1st. We are almost survived COVID 2020, right? So gotten through this. Hopefully by this time next year, we'll be getting back to our regular meetings. And Mark, you can have we can all toast a beer.
I'm gonna keep drinking.
That sounds good.
In person, camera, whatever. It's all good.
But I hope you guys learned something tonight, right? And I know I learned something tonight, and I always appreciate you guys showing up and collabing on this. The more conversation we have about what's going on in the market, the more we as investors can make savvier decisions. I feel good about buying in some of the outskirt markets. I do see this continuing. You start thinking about, people start asking themselves the question like, hey, I mean, I live in Reston and I bought this place. It's only 58 minutes away from where I live. And it's like a completely different universe. It's only 58 minutes away. I told my wife, I'm like, it won't be too long before people are just more and more people are going to go further out, right? Because as long as you got great Wi-Fi and internet service and you've got a job that gives you the ability to have that flexibility, like why wouldn't you, right? You could buy something for half the price. So, Eddie, I know you were thinking about doing, like, I see people doing that right now, right?
Yeah.
And I just see growth will continue doing that. Now, I did read a lot of articles today about people in San Francisco buying up real estate because a lot of people moved out. Some of the pricing came down. Then people buying into San Francisco with the anticipation that people are going to snap back and move back to San Francisco, which will happen, right? Because we will forget. We always forget. Like, that's just the trend. Like a couple years from now, we'll more than likely forget. But I do think that this has changed a fundamental thinking of how we view real estate or how we view our job. And there's going to be a lot more of this that happens moving forward. So just got to figure out what that means for you in your investing game. Possibly more Airbnbs, possibly storage, right? Possibly you know, buying just like Jad has been buying in some of the outskirt markets and capitalizing on that, right? So less
I will look
competition.
forward. I will look forward to hearing those stories next year.
Yep.
It'll be a good year.
Okay, guys. Chip, thanks for putting it in. All this info. We should let me see if I could screenshot this. Or Mark, you can capture everybody's info on here. I'll actually kind of copy and paste it. Cool. There we go. God. Okay, guys, make it a great night.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays. Thank you.
Happy holidays. Good to see everybody.
Take care.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Forward to seeing you
Bye.
soon.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.